This is Sam Beiko, Artistic Director for Prairie Comics Festival, and this is True North Country Comics Podcast.
Welcome to the True North Country Comics Podcast, dedicated to promote Canadian comic book and graphic novel creators and supporters. I'm John Swinimer. On this episode, I chat with Sam Beiko, Artistic Director of the Prairie Comics Festival, about all the activities planned for attendees. Please like and subscribe to this website by hitting the subscribe button, so you'll be notified about new podcast interviews and article posts. This podcast is available wherever podcasts are enjoyed. Please like, follow, and subscribe. Based in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Sam Beiko is an author of young adult fantasy novels and the creator of the webcomic Krampus is My Boyfriend on Webtoon, which won the 2020 Aurora Award for Best Graphic Novel and was nominated for the 2020 Joe Shuster Award for Best Webcomic. She has over 12 years' experience working in the book and comics publishing industry and currently works as a social media content writer for television. Sam is also the artistic director of the 2025 Prairie Comics Festival. The Prairie Comics Festival is an annual 2-day event featuring marketplace and panel and workshop programming geared towards celebrating, supporting, and discovering independent creator-owned comics, graphic novels, zines, and other sequential art by artists based in the Prairie provinces and beyond. The festival, taking place annually in Winnipeg, Manitoba, also focuses on educating and engaging with the community and attendees to create their own comic works by facilitating monthly seminars about comic making, publishing, and artistic development. The 2025 festival and all related events taking place at the Manitoba Museum are free to attend for the public and live streamed to enable full accessibility. So, without further ado, here's my chat with Sam Beiko, Artistic Director of the Prairie Comics Festival. So Sam Beiko, thank you very much for taking time to chat with me.
Thanks for having me today.
I appreciate your time. Before I get going with all the questions, I would like to know, what was the first comic book that you read?
First comic book I read was back in the day in 1997 or 8 when they were releasing the Sailor Moon manga through Mix Comics. I would go down to my local comic place. It was called Comic Cave, and I would grab those issues, which I still have today, with their gorgeous single covers. And because I was super into the anime. So it was pretty much my gateway into comics was through manga.
That's great. A lot of people get in that way, and that's terrific. We're here talking today because you're one of the organizers for this year's Prairie Comics Festival. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what that event is all about.
Prairie Comics Festival is an indie comics celebration. So we promote and celebrate creators who make their own comics, self-publish them, collaborate with others. We're basically out here to build community and to support people who are engaging with the sequential art medium to kind of get their own message and their own story out there. So we are not a Comic-Con, although, we're very Comic-Con adjacent, and some of the exhibitors, you will see them at Comic-Con. We don't have celebrity media guests. We don't have Funko Pop booths or T-shirt towers. We are strictly artists. We're run by artists to support artists and creators and anthologists and everyone who contributes to comics.
That's great. Can you give me sort of an overview of what an attendee can expect when they come into the event, the 2-day event?
Well, for this year, we are taking place September 6th and 7th at the Manitoba Museum in Alloway Hall in downtown Winnipeg. And folks can expect to visit with over 90 exhibitors coming from all over Canada and the US. I would say about 51% of our exhibitors this year are actually from out of town, which is really great. So when they walk in, it's free to attend, so you don't have to buy tickets. You can just come and enjoy. You can save all your money for spending it on limited edition zines, comics, graphic novels made by the folks there. We also have 2 days of panels, presentations taking place in the same building, in the auditorium. We have some off-site events. Prior to the festival starting on September 5th, which is a Friday, we are going to have a special signing with Jeff Lemire, who is one of our headliner guests. He will be coming to 204 Comics to sign some books. And then on the Saturday night, September 6th, at McNally Robinson, which is Winnipeg's biggest indie bookstore, we're going to have a special panel interview with both headliner guests, so Jeff Lemire and Jen Woodall.
That's great. Can you talk a little bit about the subjects of the panels? Is it very generic or are they very topical? Can you give me sort of a rundown?
Yeah, every year we always try to switch it up. So we're going to have like some technical panels about how to make comics. We usually do one on pitching to publishers, webcomics 101, nonfiction and autobio comics. We also have a special panel for meeting the guests. This year we'll also have a panel on Indigenous comics, French comics, and again, more technical stuff like how to use Procreate to make comics and the wave of romance comics and how to define those, as well as discussing queer comics and fighting book bans. So we have a lot kind of on offer we're really excited about.
Yeah, lots of great topical interest for attendees, that's for sure. Now, you mentioned Jeff and Jen who will be there. Can you reference some of the other creators who will be exhibiting at this year's event?
Yeah, so like I said, there are quite a few. Off the top of my head, we have local folks like Infinite Studio, Gregory Kmichuk, Chasing Artwork. We're also going to have publishers there as well, Anik Press from Toronto, Conundrum Press from Wolfville, Nova Scotia, Pow Pow Comics from Montreal, zine makers like Fruit Salad, Comics, Wandering Star, Natalie Mark, who is the creator of this year's poster, Rael McGregor, who is a local non-binary Métis creator who collaborated with quite a bit, Mike Zastry, who we commissioned to create our land acknowledgement comic this year. If you go to our Instagram account, which is at Prairie Comics Festival, you can actually check out all of our exhibitor spotlights, which are running all the way up to the fest. So you can learn more about every single exhibitor who will be there.
That's amazing. Lots of good stuff there. And I got to ask you, are you showcasing any of your own projects at the festival?
I'm not, unfortunately. I am an author of young adult fantasy as well as the creator of a few comics, and I'm a comic anthology editor, but I have to switch hats quite a lot when I'm doing my artistic directing work for the festival. So I'm just here cheering on everyone else. And I'll be appearing on a couple of panels as well and moderating a few, but I'm mostly there to just make sure everything runs smoothly. Everyone has snacks and water. Everyone's going to the panels. And then at the end, I can lay down and have my eternal rest.
Well, I'm glad that you're there taking care of everything because that's how things run smoothly. So I guess in the future, we'll have a better chat about your future projects. I'm sure you've got a lot of stuff in the back burner ready to go. So we'll have to talk about that another time. How about that?
Sounds good.
Given all that you've said about who will be there and what's going on, can you sort of summarize what the comic book creation scene is like in Winnipeg?
It's actually quite robust. And I hear this from a lot of folks that kind of come to Winnipeg or pass through. They really recognize that we have a very large proportionate population of artists in the city, whether that's simply just because of the living costs or that the community is very, very supportive of each other and very collaborative. So it's always growing. And we've been around since 2016, so we've kind of seen firsthand all those ebbs and flows of new creators coming, and it's been really exciting to just create a platform to enable new creators to have a place to go and exhibit their work. And it just gets bigger and bigger every year. We run our organization year-round, actually. So while we have this weekend-long festival, all year round, we're also putting on workshops, panels. We're going to be promoting a micro-credential with the Red River College this year about comics. We're always creating opportunities for the community to come together. We do a holiday zine fair in the same building as our main office. So comics for us, indie comics, never sleep. So we're just really excited to do the festival because that's kind of like our big celebration, but we do keep the momentum going all year.
Sure. I think you mentioned this before, but I have to ask at this event, do you anticipate any cosplay or maybe cast appearances from the Littlest Hobo TV show?
It's so funny. Some folks, they send us messages asking if it's okay to cosplay. And I mean, we're fine with that. It's just a completely different atmosphere. We connect with the furry community who's really awesome. And, some of them will show up, and we just want everyone to feel happy and included and enjoying this medium. So they can if they like, but no, I don't think any cast appearances. We did have local Winnipeg Spider-Man ask if he could come, and we were kind of like, I don't really think so, but you can come out of costume.
Sure, sure. There you go. Well, I don't like to get too negative on my podcast, but there was a commotion, I guess I could say, about the use of AI at a recent Fan Expo event in Toronto at one of the vendors' stalls, one of the exhibitors, and it got some of the artists upset. So with that in mind, I have to ask you, what is the Prairie Comics Festival's stance on AI use?
So very simply, we do not accept it. We curate applications very closely. It's an automatic rejection. We don't allow it in. If we see it on the show floor, it gets removed. Because this is an arts festival promoting artists making art with their human hands, which is how it's meant to be. And I followed that whole incident very closely. I've worked with Informa as an exhibitor in the Artist Alley since 2015. 2016, 10 years plus. I've been there as a guest. I've been there in the Artist Alley selling my books. So I know the organizers very well, and I know that they do support artists. And I think that with the way AI is just proliferating, it's a blind spot for sure. And I think what we have to remember about AI is that it's very exploitative of the work that people have spent years honing and putting out there. And it's already tough to be an independent artist. And the booth in question is a large corporation that makes lots of money. And however they cut it, they tried to say, Bell tried to say that they did it in an ethical way. AI is not ethical. As it is, it's built, like I said, off of properties that don't belong to them. And it's environmentally damaging. I could wax on and on about just the harms of AI, and that unregulated, the people that it's going to harm the most are vulnerable artists. It's expensive to be in Artist Alley at Fan Expo. It costs quite a lot to get there, especially if you're, say, coming from Winnipeg, like some of my colleagues did who are in the Winnipeg comic scene. And the only way that those shows exist are from people paying exorbitant table fees in order to be there. So I think that this is a good moment for Informa to really assess their policies on AI and show that they support artists, which I know that they do. And they can very easily show it by just making AI not allowed to be on the floor. And I think that is just kind of the bare minimum that needs to be approached in conversations going forward.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Much appreciated. So with everything that we've talked about, where can people go online to find out more about the festival?
Well, like I said earlier, you can find us on Instagram at Prairie Comics Festival. You can also check out our website, prairiecomics.com, which is where we post all of our upcoming events and information. And we have a little Blue Sky account, which again is just Prairie Comics Festival. And I believe we're still using Facebook to get info out there for events. So we're all over the place. You can also come down if you're local to Winnipeg to our office during the week, Monday to Fridays. We're at 70 Arthur Street in the Exchange District on the 6th floor. We put out a sidewalk sign, so we're pretty easy to get to. And you can come and check out our space. We have open studio nights every Wednesdays called Comic Coven, where you can come and work on your work in progress and meet other creators. We make ourselves very accessible so that we can keep the community going.
Thanks to Sam for the chat. You can discover more about Sam Beiko online at smbeiko.com and on Instagram at Samantha_Smash. You can discover more about Prairie Comics Festival at prairiecomics.com and on Instagram at Prairie Comics Festival. And thank you for tuning in to the True North Country Comics podcast. I invite you to visit the True North Country Comics website to listen to more conversations about creators on making comic books and graphic novels. I also encourage you to subscribe via the website so you'll be notified about new podcast interviews and article posts. This podcast is available wherever podcasts are enjoyed. Please like, follow, and subscribe. You can follow along True North Country Comics on most social media sites. And you're encouraged to send any and all feedback to John at truenorthcountrycomics.com. Thanks for tuning in, and come back soon for another episode. Bye for now. True North Country Comics Podcast is copyright True North Country Comics, copyright 2025.